What is up, everybody? I'm just parked right here. I did some errands. I think this thing might die. I want to talk to you about traumatic brain injuries. Now, I already actually filmed a video. I filmed a video a long time ago, and I felt like I was rambling on a little too much, and I felt like, I couldn't really give you an insight to it. Let's turn this on real quick. There we go. So I felt like in that video, it was as personal as I could possibly get it. It was to the point where I was kind of talking a little bit about some calls and some people, watch out, some people that I've been on where, especially like one where he fell and he hit his head in the garage on the cement, and now he has a very serious traumatic brain injury to where it's, just a lot of the symptoms that are very, very severe symptoms. And just a few things like, somebody crashing their motorcycle, but I feel like now I can actually tell you a little bit more, and I can give you more of a personal story with Matt, and especially with his recovery that he's been doing, which has been great. But some of the stuff that I saw firsthand was pretty bad, and it was a little bit scary. So first off, what is a traumatic brain injury? A traumatic brain injury is just basically any injury to your brain. So you could, think of it as getting punched in the arm. So somebody punches you in the arm, your arm bruises depending on severity, You could break your arm, you could, get very bad blood vessel damage. So, you basically have a nasty bruise, you could have muscle tissue damage, or it could be just as simple as like a small scrape or just a little bit of redness and it goes away within a day or two. Same thing with brains. So you can have a very traumatic brain injury, as in, you crush your skull and brain is coming out. That's a very, very traumatic brain injury. You can also have a very minor traumatic brain injury, and that's just a simple, like very, very minor concussion. Very minor, like you recover within a day. So what Matt had is actually a severe traumatic brain injury, and let's get over here. And it's because he had over a week, over almost 2 weeks to recover basically his cognitive function. He had post-traumatic amnesia. So what happens with the traumatic brain injury, and the reason why you get a concussion, the reason, why you damage some stuff in there, is that it's not necessarily the hit to your head that causes the actual injury. It's the brain bouncing against the walls of your skull, because it's hard to explain anatomy while riding on a bike, but basically your brain is sitting inside of like a small swimming pool, enclosed, surrounded by fluid that's not blood, and it just kind of sits there. So it's like it got its own little water bed, and it's got its own little suspension in there. So when you hit and stop, when you decelerate, when you stop real fast, your brain hits the front side, and then your brain hits the back side. So think of it exactly like in a car accident. I showed this in the video when it came to some of the stuff that I was talking about, and I showed some footage. I'll put it up here anyways, I still have it. So you see the people like moving forward, and then they move back. So that's basically your brain inside its skull. It's those people inside the car, it's the brain inside the skull. That's exactly what happens. So Matt, when he was going 35 miles an hour into the intersection and a truck pulled out in front of him, that sudden stop caused his brain to smack the front of his skull and then hit the back side of his skull. It's the coup contra coup concussion. Now, traumatic brain injury sounds very bad. Just the word TBI, traumatic brain injury. Like I said, it could be very minor, it could be a small concussion, or it could be very severe where you have brains on the ground. A lot of those videos that you see from the Wounded Warrior Project, those commercials and everything, or you see soldiers coming home and they're kind of walking on crutches and they look a little different from the before videos, and they can't talk and their hands are all clenched. That is a traumatic brain injury. That is a very severe one where they've either gotten shrapnel to the head or they've gotten shot in the head or something. Something happened very severe. So you can get that on a motorcycle. You can get it's just a matter of crashing. So Matt, when he crashed and he hit his head, really the only thing that stopped his brain from being on the ground or him having basically be like one of the soldiers in those videos is the fact that he wore a helmet. The helmet actually absorbed quite a bit, a lot of his of the impact, especially when he first hits the truck. It absorbed and it spread the impact around his skull, not through his skull. So that is the importance of having a very high quality helmet, and that's the importance of wearing a helmet at all. so that way you don't die, and it protects your brain. It doesn't matter about protecting your scalp, you know, the blood vessels and all that stuff. You really need to protect your brain. So now that we kind of got that situated, somebody getting pulled over there. Oh, ambulance. One second, we got an ambulance coming. And you guys are talking about me not having the appropriate mirrors. I could see that stuff. Here we come, right here, way back there. So anyways, now that we kind of talked about the anatomy and how everything starts, and you know how the injury happens and all that stuff, like I said with the arm example, is that you can have severities change, you know, from minor to very severe. And just like with your arm getting punched like that, you have different changings in times of recovery. So like a broken arm is going to take a long time compared to just getting a small little bruise. Now with the brain, same thing. You can get a small little bruise and it's going to take a little while, or you can completely like break synapses. You can have a brain bleed. You can have, you know, a separation here and there, and it's going to take forever, or it might not heal. So there's different types of actual injury, and then with each kind of injury there's basically a different type of symptom. So what Matt is having to deal with, like I mentioned, is the post-traumatic amnesia. Pretty much everybody has that when it comes to a brain injury. Post-traumatic amnesia is just going to happen. And this is a lot of traffic. Let's go ahead and get out of here. So with the post-traumatic amnesia, he literally does not remember. He does not remember the accident. He was having a tough time remembering while I was there. When I first showed up, he was asking the same questions every 10 minutes, the exact same questions, and it's so weird because he'll ask, "Hey man, why am I here?" And you'll tell him like, "Oh, okay, cool, okay. Oh, is everyone okay? Oh, yeah, okay." And then he'll kind of like fade off, and he'll ask the exact same questions like, "Hey man, why am I here?" And he has the same reaction to what I tell him. So it's really weird to see that. So Matt was pretty severe, like really severe. So that every 10 minutes is very bad. Every 5 minutes is very bad. Just being completely unconscious is bad. But if you have something minor, you could ask every hour. You know, it's when it slowly progresses to something better, like when it heals and everything's doing better, that's when it starts happening. So like he was asking every 10 minutes, then it went to every 20 minutes after a day. After like 3 days, it was every 2 hours. And right now, I think this is almost 3 weeks after the accident. I can't even remember. It's been such a shitty. Yeah, it's about 2.5 weeks, and he now remembers like a lot more, but he still doesn't remember. He tells me, it's like, I can't remember that week that happened. Like it happened on Tuesday, so like till the next Monday, he's like, I don't remember anything. I kind of remember stuff, but it's just like I lost that week. And that whole week I was having conversations with him. That's the crazy thing, and he doesn't remember any of it. I remember absolutely everything. And even now he's having a little bit of a tough time remembering a lot of the stuff. And so it's not just the amnesia that you're gonna have when it comes to a traumatic brain injury. You can have cognitive issues to where, like, for him, he's having to go through rehab, different kinds of rehab, not just for his body, but for his brain too. So they're having him like read a chapter book, and it's difficult, and he'll forget like the last chapter. And they'll make him remember what he did that day, and he can't remember some things, but then like he'll remember what he had for breakfast, but then he won't remember what he just was talking to that rehab specialist 10 minutes ago, and vice versa. It'll just flip and switch. So there's some broken synapses in there, and they're going to take time to heal. And that's the great thing about your body, is that it will heal. It's just with the brain, sometimes it just takes forever. You just never know. It depends on the severity. Brain to me seems still kind of like a new thing. It's like we don't know the full details about the brain compared to some other parts of the body. But it's just crazy how he's having some issues, and he's still having some issues, but it seems like everything's better. So far, he hasn't had any issues, and this happens with a lot of people, is that there's a lot of nerve damage. So it's not just the brain. It can kind of go down to the brain stem, to where some nerve issues, to where he can't hold anything in his hand, or having difficulty remembering people's names. And and like maybe moving a leg, like almost like a stroke victim. He doesn't have anything that involves like a stroke symptom type thing where there's a legit damage or dead tissue in the brain. He hasn't had that, but that could actually happen. And I know a lot of this is kind of like rambling on and stuff, and I'm just like, I'm thinking on the spot of what's going on with Matt and how I can relate it to you, and basically everything relating to what happened and to us as motorcyclists is wear your freaking helmet. Wear your helmet. That is literally the only thing that saved his life, and a lot of the brain injuries that he could have had was prevented because of the helmet. I talked a few times about getting a new helmet. I talked a few times about, you know, how to choose one, all the helmet facts. Once again, those links are in the description. But this was mainly just to talk to you about traumatic brain injuries and stuff like that. This would be a really good video for a live stream, so if you guys want to go ahead and check out any live streams that I do post, the best way to do that is if you are subscribed. So go ahead and click that subscribe button, and then right next to it is a notification bell button. When you click that, you're notified when I post a video, so you'll definitely be notified when a new live stream comes up. That way we can do a question and answer thing, because I'll actually not have to worry about all this traffic, because since getting back on the bike after his accident, I'm just like kind of nervous. It's very difficult for me to get back on the bike and actually talk to you guys. It's like me wanting to focus has been my top priority, and I've already mentioned to you guys, motovlogging does take away some focus from you, so don't do it when you first start. But like right now, it's like I feel nervous, so it's probably why I rambled on a little bit. But traumatic brain injuries are very severe, guys. It's not something to mess around with. Your whole body can be fully fine. You could have, like I said with the guy that fell in his garage and hit his head, and now he has brain deficits. His body is fine, his muscles and everything else is fine, organs, it's just his brain. So once you mess up the brain, once you damage the brain, it doesn't matter, your whole body is compromised. So Matt is extremely lucky to have something to where it's not that severe. He's coming around, he's doing better, and his body, even though it's damaged, is also doing better. And I just can't wait until he can actually go home, and we'll kind of see about that. But guys, I hope you ride safe. Please be safe. Wear your helmet. Wear your helmet. Please, guys. But with that said, I hope you guys ride safe. And if you have any questions, please write in the comments, and I'll comment there if I forgot anything. If you have anything that I might have not answered, that you have something that you want to, know, write it in the comment, and I'll type it up. I'll write it up. I'll answer the best of my ability. But I'll see you guys later. All right.